Good evening and welcome to TV Guest, your weekly public affairs program that dissects the issues shaping our nation. Tonight, we'll take a critical look at the dynamic between leadership and followership in Nigerian politics, a relationship many believe is at the heart of our national struggles. Is Nigeria suffering from a failure of leadership, or are followers equally responsible? Joining us to unpack these pressing issues is a senior special assistant to Governor Sheriff Oboriwori on media, two-time chairman, Nigerian Union of Journalists, Delta State Council, former ex-official, and social commentator, Comrade Mike Ikeogwu. You are welcome to TV Guest.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Good evening.
The state of our political leadership in Nigeria, how would you assess the quality of political leadership in the country today?
Thank you very much. I think before we look at the assessment of political leadership in Nigeria, I want to lay bare what leadership is all about.
Okay, go ahead.
By some scholars who have studied leadership and have come up with their position on what leadership is all about. According to Fasan 2004, leadership is a process of influencing the behaviors of others in an organization by a leader in an attempt to get the best out of them. Ikunlayo 2004 also describes leadership as a process taking the lead while others are made to follow by example. Monday 2000, Gordon 2001, Ogumbiyi 2002, Chaplin 2002 are all of the opinion that leadership is a process of assuming the number one position in a given organization and thereby using the position to control, direct, and influence their subordinates in such organization for the purpose of transforming the organization better than it was before the appointment of such leaders.
Okay.
I must also look at who is a leader.
Okay.
We have just described leadership.
Okay.
So I am coming there. According to Awoni 2011, a leader is an individual who takes the lead in any organization, a number one citizen who leads to influence the behavior of others in such organization, either positively or negatively. You understand?
Yeah.
Awoni 2011 quoted M.K. Abiola to have described leadership, to have described leader as the head of a moving train whose potency depends on how effectively it can move the long attracted coaches to the desired destination, or rather as the driver of a big lorry, a captain of a big ship, a pilot of a big aircraft who must not toy with the lives of his or her passengers on board. Having laid bare this, we'll now begin to look at assessing the leadership in Nigeria.
Good.
So, if we want to look at leadership of our country based on the definitions we have already gotten, I want to say that truly, Nigeria from independence has had various strata of leadership. Those who were able to shape in the minds of their followers, those who were able to direct a kind of leadership that many wanted to follow. But I must tell you that as we progress in our democratic process, the leadership of this country has, taken a dive that many of us are beginning to question. If I take you back to when the founding fathers of our nation, the days of Nnamdi Azikiwe, the days of Awolowo, Ahmadu Bello, and the rest of them, you will agree with me that the leaders we have that time is quite different from what we're having now. They laid bare, they were sacrificial, they were selfless, and they were determined to enthrone a country that all of us would desire to have. But
so what happened along the way?
Along the line,
yes, what happened?
I think what I would say that happened is the fact that those who took over from those leaders, our founding fathers, did not keep the tenets that were handed over to them. The party that was handed over them was not really handled well and passed to the next generation.
So you are describing it like a relay.
Yes, there was a distortion in between the founding fathers of our nation who fought for our independence. If that kind of spirit that we have now is what they had in their time, I don't think we'll have independence. You understand? So along the line, the kind of quality that they handed over to those who took the baton from them begin to degenerate. That is why we are where we are today.
So what's the root cause? What are the causes?
The root cause, I must say that those founding fathers were not interested in acquiring illegal wealth. They were not interested. They were not greedy. They were not interested in having buildings all over Nigeria. They were not interested
even outside Nigeria.
And even outside Nigeria. They were not interested in living a life that they will hand over to their younger generation. They believe that if we leave a legacy, for example, we have a country that is working, where after attaining your educational qualifications, going to higher institution, studying hard, and you come out, there's a job for you to do out there. Nobody will take care of what is going to live for the children that are yet unborn. What the present leadership is doing now is to see how they can live their own life for their immediate children and also live for their children yet unborn. That is where we are now. What happened between the period of the founding fathers and the present generation that we are seeing now? I may not be really going to give account of that because I was not there when the battle was handed over to them to know exactly what was handed over for them. But from what we have read in books and the history of this country, those leaders were selfless, not greedy, committed to the development of this country, and were willing to enthrone a country that our children yet unborn will be proud of to say I'm from Nigeria. You remember when in the early 70s, 80s, Nigerians were not looking for struggling to travel abroad. They travel abroad even without visa to Britain and other European countries.
At a time, the Nigerian money was even higher than the
dollar. The dollar now we are celebrating today. You understand? So those are the things that those leaders fought for, and they handed over to us. But presently, if you want to travel out of this country today, you are with a green passport, they look at you with a second thought. They begin to look at what is surrounding you, from the history they hear about our country, and from what is happening within the leadership of this country. You understand? So why were they not getting visa to go to overseas in that time? Because the founding fathers of our nation lived a life that we were even competing with the outside world in terms of integrity, in terms of leadership, and in terms of intellectual capacity. You understand? So those were the things that the founding fathers of this nation handed over to us that degenerated as we progress along in our democratic process.
With all of this, can we now say that our political leaders have betrayed public trust?
I would say yes.
Do we still have trust in them?
I would say yes, they have betrayed the trust that was handed over to them. If you are going to occupy a political position with the mind to enrich yourself, with the mind to cut corners, with the mind to make sure that before you leave office you have gained some level of prominence in terms of greed and the wealth you are going to acquire, then they have betrayed this trust. Leadership is all about service. Leadership is not about you going there to acquire ignoble wealth that is not your rightful thing to get.
He got in wealth.
So that is why I am saying that they have betrayed the trust. Leadership is service. And if you are going to serve, what you need to offer to the people is having a kind of interaction with them to know exactly what they need. But what the present leaders are doing for this country is to see that what I want the people to have is what I'm going to give to them. You understand?
To keep them in perpetual poverty.
To keep them in perpetual poverty. But I thank God that the civil society organization, to an extent, is trying to awaken the consciousness of the citizens of this country, to hold the leaders of this country accountable, to let them know that it is not all that we desire for us, but it's what we desire for ourselves and that what we need for ourselves to make progress. That is why, if a place is going to be developed, one leader will just come and because he has an opportunity to put something in the budget, he say, I'm going to give this people electricity. Did you ask them if they need electricity? You want to give them street light. Did you ask them if they're going to use that? What is that?
That's what they needed.
You understand? It's possible that they don't need that street light for
At
that
that
moment,
time?
but they wanted something different that will impact directly on their
Just force
on their
it on
well-being.
them.
So they forced some of those things on the people. So that's what I'm saying. They have betrayed distrust for a very viral democratic process, a democracy that has the people at the back of their mind. People should interact and know exactly what we need at a particular given time, so that we can really solve meet their needs.
Okay, you are right. Given all of this, the way now say Nigerians' followers enabled this leadership, this bad leadership, through apathy, tribalism, and voters' inducement. Do we say the followers enabled this?
Yes, absolutely yes. You see, we have learned from what is going on in our country today that if you want to make the electorates, that is the masses, vulnerable, you stifle them. You make them hungry. You make them to become beggars. That if you don't come to them with peanuts, they will perpetually walk to you to even ask for that peanut.
Okay, so why do we still support them in all of this?
Hunger has become a major problem in this country. That even the followers, if you are hungry and maybe you don't have 10 naira to eat, somebody come and give you 1,000 naira. There is tendency for you to begin to look at that person as your Lord, as your God, and follow him to whatever he wants you to do. So, but if there is a level playing ground where people are exercising their potentials, where people are given the opportunity to excel in one way or the other, and I'm making my own money, no matter how little, that by the end of the month, I should be able to have something to my pocket. I won't come to you to beg, because certainly I will go to work, and by the end of the month, I will be paid salary that will be a kind of taking me to a level that I will not beg. But if I'm hungry and I see a man that comes to me today to say, Mike Ikeogwu, I know that you are facing this challenge. The problem you have is about 10 million naira. Let me just give you 2 million naira. And nobody has given it to me before now. What do you expect from me? Whatever that man will say, that is what I'm going to do. Even if you say, go and attack you now as the presenter here. When you come out of this studio, I will just say, okay, Mowah, I will give you a very sound slap. That is what is happening in democracy. The followers don't have a say. The leaders are making them perpetually poor, that when they come to them, they will give them what they want, and that's all.
Okay, so will you describe the followers now as victims, or they are also partners in this failure?
I would say they are victims and they are partners.
Also,
They are victims in the sense that the political leaders have subjected them to that level of poverty that they are.
can they reject it?
That they begin to, play along. And I would say they are partners because they have not been able to rise to the level of understanding that the power to change the narrative
It's with them.
is with them.
It's with the
You understand?
people.
But some will have reason to say, let's change this narrative. How many are following them? You understand?
That's a big
so
question.
It is difficult to begin to change that narrative when the majority of the people are on one side, clapping, singing, dancing, following, praise singing, and doing all sorts of things
to
ensure that they get stomach infrastructure for that particular period. So we are in a logjam that many, except somebody that is that has the mind, or the people come and say, let's break this gridlock that we have given our people. You understand? And I don't foresee it for in the shortest time.
So you're saying the present youth can't do anything about it. Don't you think they can play a role in changing on all of this narrative?
Ordinarily, the population of the youth is enough to change the narrative in this country.
So what is the problem?
Stomach infrastructure.
And how long is this going to be?
It will take as long as it is possible to take if there's no mindset of reorientation.
Okay, so what should they do? What role should they play in followership?
The youth.
Yes, the youth.
Okay. Let a youth that knows his onion rise up to say, enough is enough for this peanut that I'm getting from people. We are talking of unemployment every day. We are talking of no job anywhere. But there are certain things you can do for yourself. Take, for instance, our forefathers survived on agriculture. And you are a youth. You are not sick. You are well able built, no deformity. It's rather than going to run after people and begin to beg them. Go back to your place. You can have a parcel of land.
But if they are if they are not also involved in politics, how can they become leaders?
No, all of us are involved at one point or the other. No matter,
we mean in governance.
yes, no matter the level of the policy we are talking about, in time of voting, those who are living in Abuja will come back to their grassroots to stay and canvass for vote from those who were in that environment. You understand? So, at one point or the other, we are all involved in politics. During political campaigns, they come to our communities. For the past, let me say, 2 decades, how many can come to a political rally and raise a hand and ask the politician a question? It's difficult to find.
Okay, even those that tried it. I remember the present administration, when they were coming in, they had this not too young to run.
Yeah.
Good. Not too young to run movement.
Yeah.
Did it change the political arena?
No, the youths who are clamoring for this not too young to rule, first of all, they don't have the money to finance their political campaign. You know, Nigerian politicians...
They shouldn't think of the money. If the youth were united across the country, it's a movement. It's just for all of them to come out en masse and vote that young person.
Yeah. That's what you know. Remember when we started, we talk about hunger and stomach infrastructure. If somebody is hungry, there are so many youths that are eager to change the narratives. There are so many youths that want this country to move beyond where it is. If we check the political scenario that we have today, those who have been in politics are those holding political offices, are those who have been there since 1999. Except you are a follower that have sheepishly followed a political leader.
They will not say you are loyal.
Whether you have the capacity to deliver or not, the person will say, this man is loyal, let's give to him. That is where we have found ourselves. In Nigeria today, they are not looking at capacity, or they are looking at somebody that is perceived to be loyal. You understand? And in such a situation, it's not going to help this country to grow. Because we have ended up handing over our common patrimony, common heritage, to those who cannot manage it because of loyalty. Those who are outspoken, those who are independent-minded, are blackmailed and labeled as antagonists, are labeled as non-loyal persons. You understand? Whereas that if you give those people the opportunity to serve,
they would have done
better than those we are handing over to our destiny to decide. Change the process of our leadership selection in this country, from councillorship to the presidency. It's only the money bags that will have the opportunity to occupy such positions. And they may not have the idea, they may not have the mindset to change the country. Some that are coming there with those money bags that are coming will have the mindset to go and enrich themselves more than they are. So you can't blame the youth for not coming to participate. But there's an avenue or area that I blame them for. Why can't all come together to enlighten ourselves? To see that enough is enough of this money that are given to us. Let's for us stand to project a youthful leader that we are going to support. Just come out, say Ikeogwu and contest the election. Another 2 persons or 3 persons will come out from a community, sponsored by a leader from one
to distort everything.
To distort that your plan.
Yes.
It becomes a problem. You understand? So that is just where we are. That there's no level playing ground for anybody to come and play. If you don't have a godfather that is speaking for you at a platform, you are nowhere. If you don't have a godfather that is speaking out for you in a political gathering, you are nowhere. If you don't have a godfather that is speaking for you in a particular leadership forum, you are nowhere.
Even in the civil service.
You understand?
But do you think civil education can reshape the political behavior?
Perfectly well. Civil education can do a lot.
So how do we do that?
That is what we are doing here now. It's part of the civil,
So keep talking.
Orientation. We'll keep talking and talking. But are they listening? Are they watching? Some persons in this generation that we find ourselves,
just adamant.
most of you are not watching television. They are not listening to radio. They are not reading newspapers. If you see them on their phone, what they are going to look at is how one person is naked on on WhatsApp or TikTok.
They use it negatively.
That is what they have the opportunity to begin to read from the internet, begin to listen to television. You can watch television at a go now. Unlike our days when we were growing up, we go to people's house to watch television from the window. We stay outside and watch from the window. Yeah. Black and white television. But now you have...
Even in your phone.
Yes, you have a phone that can give you up to date of what is even happening in America. As it's happening, you are seeing it there. But they're not using it. They're using it for negative thing. But we won't stay because they're not listening, they're not watching, they're not reading.
Talking.
That we're not going to speak. We'll continue to speak to them. It's time for the youth to come up and say, yes, we want to take over that position. And organize ourselves in a manner that is very, very, coordinated and channel our energy towards giving this nation a direction.
Okay, that's one of the way forward. So what other reforms are needed to build accountable leadership in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Let the leadership of this country, those who are in political offices, should stop looking at those who come to them every morning to sing their praises as loyal to them. There are some people.
Mislead them.
There are some people that are not coming to your house. They are not singing your praises. That are very, very committed to you, particularly if you are doing the right thing. First of all, we must kill psychophancy.
That's the major thing.
And bootlicking. Two, the leaders must begin to identify some youths that have the quality of leadership potentials in them that can help to reshape this country. We started leading at age when we were dancing masquerade. We organized masquerade dance in our communities. That was where we started leading. If you're able to influence 1, 2, 3, 10 persons around you, and they believe in you, you're already a leader.
Yeah.
Leadership must not be centered on money. That because this man has money, I does not have quality, we'll give him leadership position. He will end up messing up the whole thing. There are people who have gifted as leaders that have identified themselves, that have demonstrated that to a very level. But some political leaders don't see it. Because you are not coming to their house every day, every morning, to sing their praises. Because you are not a bootlicker, they say that you are not loyal. These psychopaths will carry your message to them and say, even say some of the things that you didn't say, or to carry favor from the political leaders. Let the political leaders begin to ask questions. You say, Mr. XYZ has said so and so. Let me come in your presence so that I can defend what you have just said. And
with that, they will stop doing all
Some will not ask you. The moment they say this is what Ikeogwu has said, they will just keep it. And they will start using it against you. No matter the level of what you do, no matter how you're trying to impress on them to say, this is the capacity I have that can develop to get this thing done. Nobody will listen to you. If your father is not a politician, your uncle is not a big politician, your aunt is not a big politician, the leader you are following, if you don't like you are nowhere. No matter the quality of leadership that you have, nobody will give it to you. That's another point. But all I want to tell the youth to do today is to come together, to have a forum where they can begin to identify among themselves who they can send to represent them and work behind him to ensure that all the guy needs to succeed, they give to him. But the moment we can do rally around these political leaders that we have that are not interested in delivering us from the shackles of poverty, shackles of unemployment.
Because they actually put it there.
Who have nowhere to stay.
Because it's like you.
So
you know,
that is just the issue.
It's like you. Because what they actually do, they dangle is like dangling a bone before a dog. You don't want to give the bone to the dog. You don't want to take it away from the dog. Because that's the only way you can keep that dog in chains. I think that's what they are doing.
Yes. So we must begin to educate ourselves this orientation that will sink into their minds on the need to begin to have a rethink. We follow this bad work on effect will lead us to nowhere. So that is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay. So, given all of these, you have said so much, you've given insights and all of that. How do we now develop responsible political followership?
Well, the first point we need to do is for the leaders to understand that that you're occupying that position today is not your right, it's your privilege. It's a privilege that you're there. Listen to those who are around you.
Okay.
Consult your community people. Let them know what you want to do.
Okay.
Accept criticism from them.
Okay.
Accept suggestions, meaningful suggestions. Because the moment you criticize a politician today, you become an enemy. So accept criticism, genuine criticism, critical criticism that will help you to reshape your own thinking. That your leader today does not mean you know everything. So for the followers, don't be afraid to speak up. There are people who have genuine ideas, genuine interest to help their leaders to succeed.
Okay.
But they're afraid to speak it out. So let's begin to talk. Whether it is going to, the leader is going to accept it or not, speak. Let God know that you have spoken to the change.
Thank you so much. Final thoughts today is that, can Nigeria achieve political rebirth without fixing both leadership and followership? That's the $1 million for every Nigerian. Leadership and followership are two sides of a coin. A failed leadership system cannot thrive with a broken, without a broken followership, vice versa. So tonight's conversation reminds us that until citizens learn to demand more and leaders learn to serve with integrity, like you said, progress will remain a mirage. Thank you so much, our guest, Comrade Michael Ikeogwu, and to you from watching from home. Until next week, it is Anthonia. I am Anthonia Mowah, and it has been Delta TV Guest. Stay engaged and stay informed. Good night.